Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and I'm going to have to be kind of quick this time for this particular development vlog for Adventure Academia, because one, I'm recording this the day before it has to go up, and two, I am a little crunched for the ability to edit, get that out, and uploaded because of the way the internet behaves here. So, Lord willing, we'll get all this put in there. This is just an introductory video for those interested in the second season of Adventure Academia and what all that entails. So we're going to go over flavor text and a bit of my thoughts in the development portion and then be done. So let's go ahead and do that right after these announcements, which is announcements being always less than 5 minutes, always. So for me, you can probably tell that we are at 1,000 subscribers now. So we're doing our giveaway. That's live right now as of me recording this. So you guys can enter for that until the end of Friday. So that is when you can do that. Friday or Saturday. Check the giveaway video. You have to comment below the giveaway video with what you're wanting to enter for. So go ahead and do that if you want to enter. But that's the main thing. I'll announce other goals besides that another time. Now let's get into this because it is crunch time for getting this out. So, as you can probably see, yeah, you guys can see, we've got the flavor text set up, which took me a little bit to get worked out in my head, but is good. So, is set now. So let's go ahead and get that going. Adventure Continues is what we've got for our first flavor text section. Okay, I had to fix something on Adventure Continues and the flavor text, but let's go ahead and get in. It was not quick work, but eventually the group was able to get all the rescued individuals back to Seven Falls. Not long after their arrival, a regiment of soldiers, led by Boris, reached the town. Remigius's correspondence had stirred serious concerns in the mind of the Warren. Thus, his trusted man-at-arms was instructed to come and investigate personally. Wilhelm, eager to deal with the dire threat Grum still posed to his people, was pleased with the force that had showed up to Seven Falls. However, as days began to pass with little progress being made to directly aid Chief Thornripper and the other Beastkin forces, he began to grow restless. Even Hildegard and Maximilian, being used to waiting on proper procedure as a cleric and mage respectively, were eager to get on with helping Wilhelm. As this waiting tension was reaching a boiling point, a stranger came to Seven Falls. A star child dressed in the fashion of a druid began to be seen at the edges of the town, watching the stars and coming closer each day. The 7th day after his arrival, Devereux the Druid introduced himself to the party and announced that they would be leaving on the morrow to go find the legendary sword, Dragon's Bane, so that Wilhelm may slay Grum. Hildegard and Maximilian were taken aback by the bluntness of this statement, but Wilhelm had learned long ago not to question the weird ways of the Star Children mystics. He simply turned to his friends, nodded, and began making preparations. They indeed left the next day, as Devereux had said. Remigius stayed behind not only because of his wounds, but also to make Boris, who was out looking at the damaged mine, aware of this change of plans. Okay, so there is Adventure Continues. That's its flavor text, introducing Devereux the Druid really quickly, and kind of establishing the odd behavior that we, for those that watched, mentioned in the developing Devereux video, as well as a little bit on the world building of Atar. So that's the flavor text for there. Now let's do the East-Dwarf Mountains, or the Spine. The eastern edge of the plentiful Shining Land is bordered by the sharp peaks of the East-Dwarf Mountains, or, as the stone folk call it, the Spine. And in parentheses here I have, it's Russian, which is what I use for Dwarvish. So I'll try to pronounce it appropriately. Let me see. Pozvolochnik. Pozvolochnik. There we go. Pozvolochnik, which means the spine or spine. Pozvolochnik. I think you can correct me in the comments down below if you speak or are familiar with Russian and that was not correct, or it was correct. Continuing. Bright snow caps many of the gray heads of these geological outcroppings. Even during the height of summer, glimmers of white decorate the highest areas. As long as any can remember, this mountain range has been the home of the stonefolk and jewelbones. While they tend to be perfectly satisfied to just stay in their mountains, through trade and friendship, they have become stalwart allies of both the Centerland and the Beastkin of the Eastern Woodlands. So that's, I'm going to have to keep a lot of these brief. I know that from this last time we did flavor text, so when you're reading this to the kids, it has to be brief. And even that first section was long, so we're going to have to make sure to be succinct when I read it to them. But other than that, this should be fine for introducing that. As well, you might be noticing that I'm using the not so familiar necessarily to everyone out there wording for the different races. So instead of elf, I said star children. Instead of dwarf, I said stonefolk. And instead of gnome, I said jewel bones. And this has multiple reasons. You can check back at the world building of Atar video, as well as a little bit of developing Devereux, for an understanding of why I'm doing that and why I'm switching that around, just to get the kids familiar mainly is why. But other than that, that is the point. So let's do the last section of flavor text, and then I can kind of go over anything I want to go over with the build, because we're a little longer than I want to be for this particular intro. So, the Eastern Woodlands, or the land of the Beastkin. Trees of unrivaled age and memory decorate the easternmost portion of the realm of Atar. Collectively referred to as the Eastern Woodlands, it is populated mostly by the many clans of the Beastkin race. These act as keepers of the forest, with different groups cultivating the various forms of flora and fauna in their own unique ways. In addition, there are numerous colonies of little ones, but due to their disorganized and nomadic temperaments, they rarely construct permanent residences of their own, preferring rather to abide in and around other races' settlements. There is also a more deadly occupant of these idyllic growths, Grum the Green Dragon. Also known as Grum the Dauntless, he has long assailed the peaceful folk of the Eastern Woodlands. From his stronghold beyond the Cursed Vale, he has utilized his fey magics to expand his influence over the centuries, until he now can threaten all of the woodlands, and perhaps, if unchecked, the entirety of Atar. But it is rumored that somewhere within these shadowed groves lies a treasure of old, one that not only Grum, but all dragons fear. Many have searched the verdant dales and glens in vain for this item, this dragon's bane, without success. But perhaps now, yes, perhaps now the stars are right, and all the needful things will fall into place. So there we have it. There is the Eastern Woodlands. The land of the Beastkin is another name for it. You guys may have noticed that I dropped the Moonlight Grove, because that is more of the northern portion, and most of the action is going to be taking place in the middle and southern portion of the Woodlands, which is just called the Eastern Woodlands, or the land of the Beastkin. Mainly called the land of the Beastkin. So that is the flavor text for this time. I don't have a lot that I'm going to talk about before we get to the kids, so this is main portion for that. Now, for the build things, if you want to know about them, I leveled everybody up to level 2. for Open Legend stuff. I changed some of the flavor text a little bit for the bovine, and now it's not human, it's Ata, which is also something from the world building that you can look at. The main thing is that there's not a lot changed. They've got some more feat options, which is cool, like Battlefield Opportunist. This means that Wilhelm, I believe I took this time, he gets an additional attack of opportunity because he's going to be right there in the thick of things. So that's something that's different. For Maximilian, he got area manipulation so that he could do fireball without blasting all the squares. He could omit some squares, which is good for targeting and things like that for the kids when I use the maps with them, which you guys will hopefully be seeing, because I'm considering showing all this off in Foundry rather than on this, but that depends. So we have this. Most of the stuff has stayed the same for this other portion. Hildegard is about the same, but she got superior concentration. No, I think she got resilient. Yeah, she got resilient, I believe. Or one of the two. I'd have to look back at the build. She also got something switched around. She did have prescience. I think, yeah. She had prescience for a little while. And I haven't fixed it in the other document, but I will when I do a recursory revise of this, because this is like the first draft. When I do this and it gets published, we will have it to where she has protection instead, because that seems to fit her more. It doesn't really offer much more access to boons and banes, but it does give her access to something called nullify, which is important for getting rid of banes. So that's going to be something that she's going to be doing, I think. So we will have that instead. That's the only real main change for her. And then we come to Devereux. Now, Devereux I built out mostly like you saw. Starlight on the water is his cloak. That's a nice, neat little name for his cloak, and we'll upgrade it later and things like that. He has his basic things that we talked about. He didn't get a lot of changes. I did choose basically the same things, but his theming is going to be... he answers a lot in questions, like has a meteor shot across the sky? That's his bow attack. And do you see stars now? Which is a melee attack, and that kind of comes from smacking somebody and they see stars. But that's different. That's beside the point. Even his banes and boons are well, not all of his boons, but most of his boons and his banes are themed around that question instead of direct answer. His main boon that we'll be focused on is that transformation boon. And this is going to be transform into the Celestial Bear, Moonless Nighthawk, Serpent in the Stars, or Starweaver Spider form. And this is going to use Shapeshift 5 Alteration. This is what it's going to use right now. I am almost certain I'm going to shift this around and make it to where he has an item that allows him to shift with totems instead, and do the totemic style druid, that their totems is a star constellation, different star constellations instead, because this build is the one I'm least satisfied with so far, but only because getting it to work is tricky for what I want to do with it. So we will see that develop as we go on. But he's got his basic boons and banes here, and then I had to build out all of the... I gotta come up with that. Oop. Let me move this up a little bit. Oop. We've got the Celestial Bear. Oop. Again, I don't know why it does that. But we have the Celestial Bear as well as the Moonless Nighthawk. Those are right there. And so the Celestial Bear is for upfront melee stuff. The Moonless Nighthawk is mainly for scouting. That's why it has perception so high. I also did an attribute substitution. If we do alternate form in the future for this build, it will change that around to where we won't have to worry about substitutions like that. And that's one of the reasons I'm thinking we will probably shift back to the original idea of using an alternate form build, even if the kids are going to have to, even if I can't work around a different way to do it. Okay, so Serpent in the Stars, it is where the other one is a tank build, the bear. This one is a quick melee build, and also has the persistent damage focus on the Serpent in the Stars. Lore-wise, I have it to where the Serpent in the Stars in my head is very smart and quick and witty, and actually doesn't like the Moonless Nighthawk, who's very non-combative, and instead focuses on banes like Phantasm and Fear and Dominated and stuff like that, especially Dominated, changing the minds of people for that hawk, for the Nighthawk. And then we have the Starweaver Spider. Whatever you want to say, the legend is a she. But the Starweaver Spider, she is meant to be a distance-based build with immobility as being the thing, like catching things in webs and stuff like that, very much like that. So that is for that one. So different utility builds is what mainly I was trying to go for with this, and we will see how that goes for us. Again, I might shift us around to where that is more of a build that is focused around the ideas of an alternate form rather than a shapeshift for the totemic style. You guys will get to see me help work that out, so we'll see. All right, that is everything I need to showcase now. Probably gone a little longer even after I edit it than I wanted to, but I'm going to try and get this done and out for Monday. It will be out Tuesday if it has to be, but I want it to be out Monday so the kids can see it before we have the stuff on Tuesday. So that's tomorrow. Monday's tomorrow, so I'm going to get this going. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
All right, had to fix a few things. Okay, I got that fixed, at least for now. Let's get this going. I got that fixed real quick, so let's go ahead and start back into Adventure Continues. Not long after their arrival, a group of... Hold on. I gotta fix that. Let's lead right into something I have to fix. Okay, now I think I got Adventure Continues fixed, so let's look. Okay. I think I got it fixed, so let's go into this. Okay, I think I got this fixed, so let's go ahead and start in. As this waiting tension was... There we go, got that fixed. You gotta tweak that a little bit every now and then. Many have I'm gonna redo that line. Many have searched in... Let me fix it first. Without that. Oh, that looks bad. I don't know why it does that, but it does this sometimes. Let me see if I can just get it up above there. Okay, now that's gonna need to be done. So I gotta get on this editing.